All right, my beautiful friends. I hope you're having an amazing day. We have some serious business to attend to here at Watching the Watchers Live. We're talking about a cover-up that is already underway. It's happening now, and we're going to unpack three different segments today, talking specifically about the big news that has come out bright and early this morning. Of course, we know Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheatle has resigned. Not a big surprise. Yesterday on the show, as we were wrapping things up, we saw that there were two people who came out, James Comer and Jamie Raskin, and very strangely, both of them agreed that Cheatle, Kimberly, had to go. We don't see that often in Congress where both sides come together, lock fingers, and frolic around the halls of Congress. So raised an eyebrow. We woke up. Kimberly Cheatle slamming back the H2O in this photo, maybe other things tonight, but has now officially resigned. And I don't know if this matters all that much, other than the Democrats are excited to just put a bow on this and sneak it aside. But the Republicans are investigating aggressively. They're there. We're excited to see what comes out of this. And we're hopeful that this is not just a mere distraction that allows this whole thing to be put to bed. We're going to talk about what happened today. They also have Marjorie Taylor Greene calling this a cover-up. Trump explains, if they just would have told me, I just would have waited. Just could have sent somebody up there with a ladder to investigate. But they didn't do that. Of course, Secret Service sent him out, knowing there was a danger on the roof. So what happened is Homeland Security has come out. A bunch of different committees are forming, all these little fake committees that, we'll see if they're useful or not. This one absolutely will not be. It is a so-called Bi-Partisan Committee. It's filled with a bunch of Bush people and Janet Napolitano. You remember her? Oh, gosh. Terrible. So she's going to be leading some of this bipartisan committee. And then Speaker Johnson also is going to be creating a separate committee, which is going to have 7 Republicans and 6 Democrats, which raises our eyebrows here. We're thinking of ourselves like real Democrats or like fake Republican-ish Democrats like Liz Cheney. Remember, she said that they appointed Republicans on their bipartisan committee, and we had Crying Kinzinger and Liz Cheney, neither of whom are in Congress anymore because they're both losers. But we'll see if the Republicans play the game or not. If they're going to put a bunch of Democrats on there, probably AOC will be on there. And so we'll see who's there. We also have more reaction here. Johnson was talking about this. Oversight Committee released a statement on Cheatle's resignation, and Jim Jordan had some comments on it as well. So we're going to jump into all of that. We'll actually read her resignation letter. It's very short. Sent in an email this morning. Mayorkas came out, dropped a comment on it. The new appointee, the acting Secret Service director, is this guy. His name's Ronald Rowe. So we'll learn a little bit about him, and we'll see what Joe Biden or whatever his caretaker wrote for him, all as Cheatle resigns. And I think they're going to try to say this is just, okay, we're done. A couple more reports will come out later, but we don't need to really look into, the complicity or the conspiracy to have Trump killed. So just move on. Raskin and the Democrats would like to do that. We'll then talk about this interesting analysis that came from the Oversight PR team. The Oversight Project did a little geo-mapping of Thomas Crooks and some of his connections. And this is an interesting thing that they can do these days. You can just go out there and buy ad data, right? You can just go buy a bunch of ad data from all these third-party providers who gobble up your data all over the interwebs. They bundle it up, and you can access it. It's very insane what you can do. You can see what people are searching for, all sorts of weird stuff. So anyways, if you're good at it, these guys are, you can trace where cell phones have gone, where they've been, because they're pinging off, the Facebook ads all the time. Show him this, show him this. If he's here, show him that. Show the device ID, this one, all the things. So they track this dude, and lo and behold, he went to Washington, D.C. Interesting. You know what's in D.C.? Oh, yeah. Homeland Security, FBI, and the Secret Service. So we'll see if he was palling around with them and see why he was talking with encrypted apps with foreign nations. JustTheNews had some additional reporting on this, saying this dude is suspicious as all heck. So we'll talk about that. Senator Ron Johnson came out, explained how many shell casings there were on that roof. So we'll have a final number from him. And then there were some other videos from some Congress people who were out there. That 70-year-old congressman named Representative Carlos Gimenez was on the roof. He's like, look, it's easy. 70 years old. But sloped brain Cheatle couldn't figure out how to get her agents on the roof. We've got that. We've got Ron Johnson coming up, just a bunch of clips, and Byron Donalds as well. And then there was a bit of a hearing today. We'll listen to some of it, but the local cops are now fighting back. There was a hearing today. The Secret Service, the FBI, none of them actually showed up. They just wanted to hang out at home, I guess, and not show up. Kind of like this image doesn't want to show up for whatever reason, just basically acting like the feds right now in the middle of our live stream. It's like, no, we're not coming. Well, we need you to be here. We need you to show up on here because we got questions for you. It's like, no, I'm not coming. Okay, so that's great. So we'll go through some of the opening statement and we'll learn a little bit about what happened today. So local cops fighting back and our technologies acting like the FBI. So we got 3 good segments to get to today, my friends. We're grateful that you're here and with us. We had a beautiful members only morning stream. We'd love it if you became a member. We have an amazing members only community at watchingthewatchers.locals.com. We have tremendous membos on YouTube, and we do members only streams in the morning. Get our bearings straight on what else is going on. A lot of the 2024 political stuff, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris shenanigans, all taking place at our members only morning streams. We'd love to have you join us. And if you're on YouTube, stick around in the chat. There are settings. Turn your settings on so you can accept gifts from other very generous watchers out there, because a lot of people get invited in on the chat. And we do streams on Saturday, and we also do after parties after the show. So check it out, watchingthewatchers.locals.com. All right, now, without any further ado, we've got business to attend to. And we're going to start off with Kimberly Cheatle. But you know what? Before we go with Kimberly Cheatle, did you guys hear about this story? Oh my gosh. Bird flu cases are ticking up all over the place. Oh man, look at this story from Detroit Free Press. Says the CDC reveals new data on bird flu. Michigan farm workers, U.S. case count ticks up. Oh gosh. We don't know what is going on here, but CDC director visited Michigan trying to understand how the highly contagious virus is spreading to humans. Are they going to still need to do this now that they threw Joe overboard? I don't know. Are we going to need a new pandemic now that they've got him out? I don't know. We are taking the cases of avian flu that we are seeing very seriously, they said. But I want folks to know the overall risk right now to the population is low. That's great news. That's great news. We don't want to be at risk of bird flu. But just to make sure that we're prepared, we know what to do. Go to the Wellness Company, my friends. You know the link is down in the description below. We want to be prepared. That's why we grabbed our Contagion Prescription Emergency Kit from our friends at the Wellness Company, the only kit of its kind that's out there. Got a bunch of good stuff in there. That way you have it on hand in case you need it. Things that might be useful for bird flu or COVID or whatever pops up. It's got ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, Z-Pak, Tamiflu, budesonide, nebulizers, the inhaler things. Backed by research from people like Dr. Peter McCullough. Every American should have at least one of these kits at home. Ordering yours takes less than 2 minutes. Couldn't be simpler. Just go to twc.health/Robert. Use code Robert when you check out. That way you'll save some money and you'll get free shipping. And it's easy to do. I've done it. I've got mine. You can safeguard your health. Go to twc.health/Robert and use code Robert at checkout. And by the way, these kits are only available in the United States. And so check out our friends at the Wellness Company. All right, now, my friends, let's get into it because we've got business to attend to. Kimberly Cheatle resigns, and the Homeland Security Department now creating some fake committees that are going to investigate the assassination attempt. Very interesting how this works. Cheatle wrecks everything, shows up for just a couple questions, doesn't answer anything, and then rides off into the sunset. Then when Republicans cry foul and demand answers, they say, "What do you want, you whiny Republicans? She's already resigned. Leave her alone." Now, we're going to go through what happened and take a closer look at this so-called Bi-Partisan Committee because Janet Napolitano is on here, and we have a quote from her and what she thinks about Trump. We'll see if she gets to the bottom of who tried to, take him out. So a bunch of these committees are forming. But Marjorie is responding, saying, you know, good news that Cheatle's gone because she was here participating in a cover-up. And she uses this word, and I don't think it is inappropriate because there is a cover-up. They lied about what has happened multiple times. We've chronicled that before. And they have no evidence. They said that all of the radio communications from the day that Trump was almost killed doesn't exist. Strange. Also had a bunch of weird things happening with who's in charge of what, pointing the fingers at the cops, local cops fighting back, saying it's not our responsibility to do these things. We had lies from the DHS saying that their requests that came from Trump were not being denied. And turns out they were being denied. Trump wanted more security. They didn't give it to him. So the list goes on. And Trump even explains, they brought me out. They could have had me wait, but they didn't do that. It was a volitional act to bring me out so I could get shot in the head. Here's Marjorie Taylor Greene explaining her take on this resignation and why she thinks it's a good thing. She posted this on X. She said, you know, her resignation isn't the end of this failure for former Secret Service Director Kim Cheatle, who reported to Mayorkas. So don't think you're just done now, all right? She will not get to slither away and enjoy retirement with her pension. Cheatle and Mayorkas will face accountability for these actions, including possible criminal investigations. I won't let this go unanswered. So we're hopeful that that is true because this was wild. They almost killed him. And here's Marjorie.
It needs to be an investigation into Director Cheatle or former Director Cheatle's role in the attempted assassination of President Trump. There may be criminal charges coming in the future. I think she showed up to the Oversight Committee, refused to answer our questions, did not bring any of the information that we asked her to bring and subpoenaed. She came in yesterday, participated in a full cover-up, and then resigned today. I think that speaks a message loud and clear. It needs to be
cover up that was intended not to answer any questions, pointing the fingers over to the FBI. FBI is going to point over to Homeland, HSI. HSI will point back to the Secret Service, and around we go in a little stupid merry-go-round. Meanwhile, she'll resign. Democrats will say, you got your pound of flesh, and they'll try to bubble wrap this whole thing, cover it up, and throw it overboard, probably with Joe Biden. Well, Joe Biden was responsible for that, and he's gone now. So is Cheatle, who was BFFs with Jill. So you see where this is going. We are not going to allow that to happen. Trump explains, you know, this is a big problem. All they needed to do was just have me wait like 5 minutes, and I could have come out later. But they didn't do that. Why not? Well, we know why. Because the Secret Service, who as we'll learn later in another segment, they were in the same building as the local police. They had a local police officer in the command center with the Secret Service. So when the local police got notified on their radio, hey, we got a shooter on the roof that we don't recognize, Secret Service was in the same room. What are they doing? Like, la, 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 we don't hear this? I'm busy. I'm on another call. No, there's a shooter on the roof. Out of my office. Okay. So here's what Trump explained when he was having this conversation, clip from our friend Benny Johnson.
You spoke to Cheatle. How'd that go?
She came to see me, actually. And, well, I mean, it went very nicely. She was very nice, I thought. But, you know, somebody should have made sure there was nobody on that roof. That roof was a dead aim right onto the stage. And they said they didn't have the manpower for it, which is crazy. 130 yards is like sinking a 1-foot putt. It's considered really close.
Absolutely right.
It sounds like a lot, but it's really, from that standpoint, it's it's very close. And I was surprised by that, actually. They said it's a bad shot would usually hit the target.
Right.
And,
it was a miracle.
So, I mean, it's got to be, somebody's got to be there. And it's essentially a flat roof. I mean, I noticed that she said, well, this is a slope roof. Well, you think of like a barn where you have this thing had just
like an A-frame.
A little upswing in it, a few degrees. This was it essentially was a flat roof. So I don't know, somebody gave her false information when she talked about the slope of the roof. I thought she was very nice, but you know, you have to answer why couldn't I have stayed off the stage for 5 minutes?
Right.
While they do their work. Why couldn't, how does a situation happen where a roof that's plainly in sight from the location where I was speaking, why would somebody not have seen that?
You were briefed, your office was briefed by Cheatle Are you satisfied with this situation?
No.
And do you feel safe with Cheatle running the Secret Service?
Look, I think clearly she needs to be more forthcoming. She needs to actually sit before people, answer all their questions, and let people know what happened. When you try to hide information and hide from question asking, that's, I think, what leads people to believe that there's something to be hidden from.
Because they are hiding. That's exactly what's happening. And they're lying about stuff. No, why wasn't a sniper on the roof? It was sloped. It was sloped. Okay. And then they pointed their fingers at the local cops. Then the local cops pointed their fingers back. Now we don't know whether there were people in that second story or not. Now that apparently the local cops were delegated to be the snipers before the Secret Service said, no, actually, we'll bring our own snipers. And the whole thing is messed up. So interesting exchange here. And we're noticing Trump's ear. Okay. Healing nicely, Mr. President, looking good. So they have a little bit more of a blended in Band-Aid now, just showing on that ear. And the other excuse was exactly right, that they said it was too hot up there. They don't like to sweat too much. So it's very difficult for them to secure the roof. Other, kind of important job, but we don't want them to break a sweat, of course. So Trump is out. I could have just waited. Obviously, the Secret Service knows that. They brought him out anyways. Is it secure to bring out? I got to imagine, I'm not a Secret Service agent, but I got to imagine before they move a high value person like Trump, they make sure it's okay. Is it okay to move him now? Can he come out? Yes, the scene is secure. In fact, it was not secure, and he got shot in the head as a result. So why did that happen? Who is responsible for making that happen? Ultimately, they're going to say it's Kimberly Cheatle. Kimberly Cheatle submitted her resignation. We see that is the letter that came out from her. It says, to the men and women of the Secret Service, the Secret Service's solemn mission is to protect our nation's leaders and financial infrastructure. On July 13th, we fell short on that mission. J13, the new attack on American democracy, the attack on our elections as this individual was trying to interfere with the democratic process. And there's a cover-up underway. They're not answering any questions about it. And the person responsible for the agency is cutting and running, quitting, just like Joe Biden quits. Bunch of quitters and cheaters. And incompetence, if not outright criminals. Time will tell. On July 13th, we fell short. The scrutiny over the last week has been intense and will continue to remain as our operational tempo increases, so we don't get people killed again. As your director, I take full responsibility for the security lapse. However, this incident does not define us. We remain an organization based on integrity and staffed by individuals with exceptional dedication and talent, blah, blah, blah. As I've stated, Secret Service moved forward with our investigatory and protective mission in a steadfast manner. We do not retreat from a challenge. However, I do not want my calls for resignation to be a distraction from the great work each and every one of you do towards our vital mission. When I got the call asking if I would return to the Secret Service after my brief retirement, I did not hesitate. So she had already retired. Maybe that's the problem. I love this agency, our mission, and the great men and women who sacrifice so much every day. I have and will always put the needs of this agency first. In light of the recent events, it's with a heavy heart that I have made the difficult decision to step down as director. Womp, womp. Bye, Kimberly. Now, we know why you're leaving. Now, she would have resigned either way, obviously. If Trump got shot in the head and was actually killed, she would have resigned. And she's going to resign now. Either way, she was probably on the way out. And she even got caught in that little flub with Ro Khanna. He says, you know what the other director did when he was responsible for Reagan getting shot? She says, he kept working. He resigned. Now, the fact that the Democrats want her out makes me question everything, obviously, because anything Jamie Raskin does is not for honor or integrity. Raskin is not above the fray and finally just going to say, okay, fine. I'll agree with James Comer out of principle. No, they've got an ulterior motive. I don't buy it for a second. So anyways, here is what Mayorkas, who runs the Secret Service, he's in Homeland, under which Secret Service resides. He says, here's my statement. I'm grateful, blah, blah, blah. Cheatle, dedicated public servant, 29 years. She supervised protection for Cheney, great, who also wants Trump dead. Led the training center, the sniper team too. Supervised the protection of Biden and oversaw the entire protective mission during the administration of President Trump. The entire protective mission. Oh, so she was responsible for something when Trump was in charge. Now, reflecting her devotion, Cheatle returned from retirement. She's dedicated her time. The men and women risk their lives every day, blah, blah, blah. All right, so that's from Mayorkas. Now, here's what's more interesting is that they have appointed this fella. My statement on the appointment of Ronald Rowe as acting service director. So the first clip here that I was reading from was this statement from Mayorkas saying, I love Kim. Here's the other one saying, now here's Ronald Rowe. Says, I've appointed Secret Service Deputy Director Ronald Rowe to serve as acting director of the Secret Service. Got a promotion. 24-year veteran of the Secret Service. Previously served as the agency's assistant director for all these affairs. All these titles that are meaningless except for government bureaucrats. So they're like, honey, did you see? I got 5 new words added to my label today. It's like, oh gosh, honey, you worked so hard for those 5 words. I appreciate his willingness to lead the Secret Service at this incredibly challenging moment as the agency works to get to the bottom of exactly what happened on J13. At the same time, Secret Service must carry on its expansive mission that includes 24/7. Did you hear their budget was like $3 billion? And we read yesterday they have like 24 protectees. So someone do the math on that. It's like, how much is that? Anyways, the Secret Service is the greatest protective service in the world. Not really, because somebody just got killed and Trump got shot in the head. So for a basic situation, it's not very complicated. It's not like you saw on some Jason Bourne film or something like that. All right. It was just pretty basic. Some kid crawled up on a roof. Idiots. All right. So here's Mayorkas. Now they're going to carry on with their mission. And here is more from Ronald Rowe. The Secret Service, the last time this guy got a promotion, here's what they posted. So this was in 2023. So he's fairly new in this position. April 18th, you can see he's flying around all over the place. Congratulations to Ronald Rowe, 23rd Deputy Director. We look forward to leadership. And it's apparently this dude right here. So that's what he looks like. And here is U.S. Secret Service Command Center. So probably another building like they were in. I don't know if he was in the building when Trump got shot. I don't know if he was even involved in this investigation at all. That'd be a great question to ask. Was he involved in this, or was he on another mission? Because that might be a conflict of interest if he is going to investigate something that he was involved in. We just got rid of Cheatle, but is he going to come cover for Cheatle? I don't know. Anyways, so here he is getting off Marine One. Looks like maybe that's Bush in the background. And here's another photograph, I guess, when they're walking around SpaceX doing some security over there. So that's this guy who is now going to be replacing Cheatle. And Biden also had a statement on this. And so let's see what he posted. They wrote this, says, Jill and I are grateful to Director Kim Cheatle for her decades of public service. Says she's been amazing. We thank her for all this. As a leader, it takes honor, courage, and integrity. And we're going to get to the bottom of what happened. The independent review is going to happen. I look forward to seeing its conclusions. We all know that what happened that day can never happen again. Joe Biden comes out immediately and says Trump's a danger to America. As we move forward, I wish Kim all the best, and I'll plan to appoint a new director soon. This was over from Mary Margaret Olahan. So that is the reaction to the to the Secret Service director leaving. And their solution to all of this is to create this committee that apparently is going to solve all the problems, get to the bottom of what ultimately happened here. You see, Homeland Security came out and they said, oh, don't worry, America. We know you want answers. We know our Secret Service lying director won't answer any of them, but we've got a solution. Homeland wrote that Secretary Mayorkas names a bipartisan panel of law enforcement and security experts to conduct a 45-day independent review of the J13 attack on Trump, assassination. Here's the press release. So they are going to be creating this puppy, and look who is on it. So when we zoom in on this, who is on this bipartisan panel, you might ask? Independent review is former DHS Secretary Janet Napolitano. Janet Napolitano, okay, from Arizona. She was the worst here. We got Francis Townsend, former advisor to Bush, another advisor to Bush, another superintendent from Maryland State Police, And another, wow, look at this. Incredible. And the Department of Public Safety and Homeland Security for what state? Delaware. Is it Joe Biden's cousin or something? Right? So it's Napolitano, Delaware, Bush people. All of them want Trump dead. All of them are thinking in their heads the miscomments that the psychopathic left were screaming about. Delaware. This is what we're going to get. And we're committed to getting to the bottom of what happened here. I'm grateful for distinguished members of this committee. Yeah, right. President announced on J14 that this administration is committed to sharing these results with the American people. And it's all bipartisan. They are not at all bipartisan at all. Okay, so some are Republicans, some are Democrats, but they all equally hate Trump. They're bipartisan in their hatred of Trump, that's for sure. So here is what Julia posted for us. Got this clip back in April of Janet Napolitano showing up on MSNBC's hit show that they love there, number one, called Inside Jen Psaki. And here's their conversation about Trump. Here's Janet Napolitano, who's going to be on this committee.
So, first of all, for former President Trump to run as a so-called law and order candidate, it would be like me saying I play in the NBA. I mean, it just doesn't hold true. Yeah. So, look, there was a terrific spike in violent crime, really during the end of the Trump presidency when we were in the midst of the COVID pandemic. But since then, crime has been coming down, in some years dramatically so. Last year, 2023, saw the largest one-year decrease in violent crime nationwide than we've had since around 1960. And so to say that we are awash in violent crime, that it's going up, et cetera, look, never let the facts get in the way of rhetoric, I guess, but the facts are the facts.
All right, so Trump is responsible for the increase in violence, and the rhetoric is dangerous, right? So one of these people who are just going to be on this committee looking at this from their perspective, that the institution, remember, these people are institutionalists, which is why they hate Trump so much. Trump is not an institutionalist. They think he's going to come in like a wrecking ball and wreck what they have been working towards their whole life, right? These people have been in the government forever. It's like a weird kinship. It's like an extension of themselves, like a third limb or something like that. They cannot move on. 29 years, 35 years, it's never ending. So then they come in and they're going to protect the institutions of the Secret Service, of the DOJ, of the FBI. No one's going to be held accountable for this. It's all the deep state acolytes, one after another, being lined up here. And then they're going to go through this and say, no, just a random lone shooter. Nope, nothing to see here. And of course, we know where it's going to go. So Mike Johnson is doing the same thing. They're creating another committee. And I don't think that this is going to go the same way that the J6 committee went. We know how that went. They passed HR 503. In the House rules, they said that they were going to create a J6 committee to investigate J6. And then what they did is they kicked off all the Republicans that the minority party nominated. So they wanted Jim Jordan on there and many other great people to be on the committee. Nancy Pelosi said no. So she threw them off and then appointed two Republicans who weren't even really Republicans. So now we're asking ourselves, is Mike Johnson going to do that same thing? Like, is he going to appoint six, say, hey, you can have, because they had 13 here. It was supposed to be 13 for the Republicans. 13 on the J6 committee, 8 Democrats, 5 Republicans. Remember that we did not have that. We had 7 Democrats and 2 Republicans in violation of their own rules. So now, because the House is more evenly split, Johnson says, I guess I'll give you guys 6 seats. 6 seats for this. Now, hopefully he only allows like 1 or 2 and then throws the rest of them off. And then the media can just eat it, because that's exactly what Liz Cheney and Nancy Pelosi did. But I probably won't do that because they're Republicans. But here's what Johnson says. He says the security failures that allowed an assassination attempt on Donald Trump's life are shocking. And in response, Representative Hakeem Jeffries, the House Minority Leader, and I are announcing a House task force. Made up of 7 Republicans and 6 Democrats to thoroughly investigate the matter. Now, the task force will be empowered with subpoena authority and will move quickly to find the facts, ensure accountability, and make certain such failures never happen again. Now, talk about a task force that I'd like to be on. Yeah, that'd be a fun one to be on. But we'll see who it gets on it, what Democrats are on there. Probably be a bunch of bomb throwers from both sides. We'll see if they actually get to the facts of anything. But again, Johnson will actually play by the rules. Nancy Pelosi didn't. Benny Thompson didn't. Liz Cheney didn't, because they're hacks and cheaters, as always. But Johnson was talking about this. Here was his reaction to the resignation of Cheatle. He posted this on X. He says, Director Cheatle finally answered our calls to resign. Good. Now our task force will quickly and thoroughly investigate the assassination attempt on President Trump and hold those responsible accountable. Here is the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson.
Our reaction, the immediate reaction to her resignation, is that it is overdue. She should have done this at least a week ago. I'm happy to see that. I'm happy to see that she has heeded the call of both Republicans and Democrats. Now we have to pick up the pieces. We have to rebuild the American people's faith and trust in the Secret Service as an agency. It has an incredibly important responsibility in protecting presidents, former presidents, and other officials in the executive branch. And we've got a lot of work to do. The task force that we'll be putting together is going to be very important. As I said, they have three responsibilities: to investigate what happened, the debacle that happened 2 Saturdays ago, to hold those accountable. It certainly was the director, Cheatle, but there may be others in the line of authority who are also culpable in what happened and the errors and mistakes there. And finally, to ensure that those mistakes do not happen again. The stakes are too high. It's a very dangerous time. We need the Secret Service to be acting to be performing at the top of their game, and we'll ensure that that happens. I hope that the interim director or whomever is appointed to replace Director Cheatle will be very sober-minded about the responsibility and take into account the very dangerous times in which we live. We'll do everything we can in the House to ensure that that's true, and I think our task force's work just got even more important.
All right, so it sounds like it's a task force. I don't know how that's different than a select committee or whatever, but here is what the Oversight Committee has said. So I guess it's not really a committee. It's like a task force, different rules, but it has subpoena power, just like Liz Cheney had. So, all right. Here's what Oversight says. Comer writes, the Oversight Committee's hearing resulted in Director Cheatle's resignation, and there will be more accountability to come. We hope so. The Secret Service has a no-fail mission, yet it failed historically on Director Cheatle's watch. At yesterday's Oversight Committee hearing, Cheatle instilled no confidence that she has the ability to ensure the Secret Service can meet its protective mission. Egregious security failures leading up to and at the Butler, Pennsylvania campaign rally resulted in the assassination attempt of President Trump, the murder of an innocent victim, and harm to others in the crowd. While Director Cheatle's resignation is a step toward accountability, we need a full review of how these security failures happened so that we can prevent them going forward. We will continue our oversight of the Secret Service in support of the House Task Force to deliver transparency, accountability, and solutions to ensure this never happens again. All right, so that's Oversight and James Comer in response. Someone else who's got reaction to this is Jim Jordan. We know he's on the Judiciary Committee, and he got asked about this over on Fox, along with some other items about the Biden exit and Kamala Harris. So let's listen to what Jordan said. Here is the chairman of the Judiciary Committee in the House.
Come back to the Secret Service investigation of what happened on January the 13th, because we heard from the president a little while ago as he makes his way back to the White House on Kim Cheatle resigning. He said, Jill and I are grateful to Director Kim Cheatle for her decades of public service. She has selflessly dedicated and risked her life to protect our nation throughout her career in the United States Secret Service. We especially thank her for answering the call to lead the Secret Service during our administration, and we are grateful for her service to our family. This proves once again, Congressman, Mr. Chairman, that nobody gets fired in the Biden administration.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. That's the nature of this administration. I mean, when the border czar is now their candidate for president, and we have the situation we've had on our border for 3.5 years, literally no border, I guess that's just the way this administration operates. Again, I think it's important that we focus on, as I said, the before, the during, and the after. But this after, where they told us things that were not true. When they said it was absolutely false that President Trump's security detail asked for help and was denied that. And Mayorkas said it's unequivocally false, that statement. And then 5 days later, they said, well, oh, by the way, there were instances where we did turn down requests from President Trump's security detail. It can't be both. You were lying to us when you told us us that just days after an assassination attempt
Yes.
on the former president. That to me is a real problem, and why so many Americans have concerns about our agencies and institutions in our government.
You know, to circle back on the news just there, these two top Democrats now endorsing Kamala Harris, there seems to be momentum. There seems to be money. There seems to be some growing enthusiasm. You just said, I don't care who they put up. You do believe that Donald Trump will win, Congressman. Are Republicans underestimating her ability and Democrats' ability to pull this off?
No, I learned a long time ago in athletics. You go hard all the way to the end of the match, into the game. So we got to run
champ
hard.
wrestler,
We got great
Jim
Senate
Jordan.
candidates in Bernie Marino in Ohio, Dave McCormick in Pennsylvania. We got good House candidates, and we got a great ticket with President Trump and Vice President Senator Vance. So we got to keep working hard. But again, you can't change the facts. You can't change the record. The record is we literally went from a secure border to no border in 3.5 years. Everyone, take your family out to dinner. Go out to dinner and see what it costs just to take your family out on a Friday night for a dinner. It costs an arm and a leg. So everyone knows what's going on. And then there's, of course, this leadership that projecting strength from the Oval Office that we had in President Trump and don't have with this administration. So again, they can put up whoever they want. I think we're going to win because I think the contrast is so sharp between President Trump's policies and what we've had with the Biden administration.
And they're liars, and they're not even being honest about what happened on J13th. It's been one defeat after another for them. Everything they touch turns to garbage. Inflation's 30% plus. We all feel it. Turkey sandwich and a bag of chips is $25. Families are feeling it across the board. We expect them to do the bare minimum, which is to not allow presidential candidates to get shot in the head. They can't even do that. So it's just more indications. It's another characteristic. It's illustrative of how this administration works. And it is the Biden-Harris administration. Harris is inheriting all of this. And so we'll keep covering this. We know that these fake committees will be doing a bunch of subpoenas will be coming out. There'll be a bunch of letters that'll be flying around. We'll see who gets on the committees and what they start doing. And so thank you for subscribing, my friends, and joining us as we continue this journey. We'd love it if you'd invite someone you know or love who might enjoy the content to come check out our channel. We know YouTube doesn't boost us at all. And so we appreciate your invites. We'll look forward to seeing you and your friends back here on the next one. But we're not done yet, because this is live, baby. We've got a whole nother story here. And so let's get to it, because this is also very interesting. The Trump assassin made some very interesting trips, some of those to Washington, D.C. New reports from the Oversight Project, you know them on X, have done geo-targeting and followed him around to various states and locations. We're going to go through that. And there's a new report from JustTheNews that says that he also was using multiple encrypted apps and had multiple connections, the shooter, to various other foreign countries. We wonder what that's all about. Johnson has released the number of shell casings found near the body, and other congresspeople, including this 70-year-old man, show us how to walk on a sloped roof. You're not going to believe how he does it. Wait until we see it. But first, we have this new report from the Oversight Project. They are on X at Oversight PR, and they have been doing some outstanding work and reporting. So make sure you're following them. And we are reposting this right now. If you're following along at home, you'll see it at the top of our timeline. Here is what they dropped. Says, we found the assassin's connections through our in-depth analysis of mobile ad data to track movements of Crooks and his associates. And this is something that actually happens. So you can purchase search data in bulk and aggregate. You can search for geo data, different devices, pinging off stores, pinging off different locations. It's all out there. You just have to know how to find it, buy it, and then utilize it. So they've done this. They went through probably some ad network, mobile ad data, and they're tracking the movement of Crooks and his associates. Now, to do this, we tracked devices that regularly visited both Crooks's home and his place of work, and we followed them. So you can see how they're doing this. To use a Kamala tool, Venn diagrams. There's a bunch of different devices that visited this address. There's a bunch of different devices that visited the work address. So if we overlap those, are there any in between? that visited both, probably Crooks. So they've done that. And here's what they found. Someone who regularly visited Crooks's home and his work, maybe it was Crooks or someone else, also visited a building in Washington, D.C. in Gallery Place. This is the same vicinity of an FBI office that was there on June 26, 2023. Oh, whose device is this? You see the Smithsonian's right here. And these two little Gallery Place and this other circle hanging out in Washington, D.C. You know who else is there? Homeland Security. You know who else is there? Secret Service. Buildings all over the place. Very curious. Now, another device, so they found probably a different device, is linking Crooks, or that it's linked to Crooks. So those two things in that Venn diagram, visited Plymouth, Massachusetts. So here's how the travel worked from our friends at Oversight. You see, they've got a bunch of pings at the Pittsburgh International Airport, and he's being pinged, right? Hit him with the Starbucks ad. Hit him with a whatever is in airports. You know, hit him with this ad. Hit him with this. You know how Facebook knows everything about you? It's because it knows where you are. So then from Pittsburgh, he goes to Boston on March 1st. He's hanging out all over Boston. He hops on this line. You can see him pinging over here to Plymouth. March 1st, he hops on this, takes an Uber down here to Plymouth. Then Hotel 1620 Plymouth Harbor. He's at the hotel for 3 days. Then he goes back over to Boston Airport, March 3rd. And back over home to Pittsburgh International, back on March 3rd. Was I saying May? It's March. All the dates are March. Reading is hard. So you can see, interesting. Why is he traveling around from Plymouth to Boston? What was that for? March 1st. Visiting family, something explainable, something benign, don't know. We found a device linked to Crooks's work that also traveled to Butler, Pennsylvania, also on July 4th and July 8th. But after that, device was gone. Oh, now we need to know when the actual rally was scheduled. So does he get notice? He gets his phone. He says, oh, this is it. I'm going to go take him out. Then that device is gone, right? He says, they probably tracked this one, so he burns that. Found a device linked to Crooks's work. Goes and scopes the site. On August 30th last year, one device linked to Crooks visited Allegheny Arms, right? And this could even be dad. You could think about parents. The parents could be in this center of this Venn diagram, because they might go visit the son at work. It's a work party, or they're going to pick up their kid or whatever. So maybe this was when dad purchased the gun. Don't really know. Now here's all the relevant locations within Bethel Park that are linked to both Crooks's home and his place of work. So those same devices hit all these locations. Work location was here. Home location was over here. Bunch of pings. Also at the Allegheny Arms and Gun Works. Then a bunch of other stops. Tang Soo-Do Karate could be here. Could be at a laundromat. Flora Park Center, another ping. South Park Golf Course, maybe golfing. This was near redacted. Don't know what that is. This is near redacted. Planet Fitness. We also saw high school, YMCA, school district. Could be also near these other locations, right? We don't know exactly what those are. It looks like they redacted those. But for those who are tracking this type of data, here's what they did. They said, we've identified devices that were located at Crooks's home and his work within the past year. There were at least 9 devices that were linked to these ad IDs. And yeah, it's not necessarily your name per se, right? Like your name is not batched in there. They aggregate the data and they anonymize it. So I think they hash it essentially. And then you get these ad IDs and then they track you to your ads. They basically, yeah, it's interesting stuff. It says, we are willing to cooperate with legitimate investigations and share further information, but for the protection of whistleblowers in our investigation, we will not be sharing further information with the Congressional Task Force due to the connective tissue between that entity the FBI, the Secret Service, and other entities. And so for those of you who may have information, if you have leads, if you have tips, please email them at tips.oversightproject@heritage.org. And definitely follow this account, okay? Because they are doing some awesome work. And they're a heritage project, so awesome. Keep your eye on them. Very interesting report and interesting connections traveling around. Now, they have this cell phone from him, and so presumably they're going to also know all of this, and they're going to tell us what he was doing or what somebody was doing in Washington, D.C. Very strange. Someone who regularly visited Crooks's home and work also visited D.C. Interesting. Probably just wanting to learn a little bit about American history. Go visit the White House. Yeah. All right. So that is from the Oversight Project. We also have questions about the ties to foreign entities and the use of encrypted apps. Just the News had this breaking story. It says, while Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheatle shoved her nose up at the congressional people, the FBI has now disclosed to Congress that the shooter used 3 encrypted communications apps ostensibly tied to Germany, Brussels, and New Zealand, and also possessed an arrest photo of another Michigan school shooter, the Crumbly shooting. So I don't know if this means that the apps are founded in these locations, like these are German apps or Brussels apps or New Zealand apps, or if he's talking to people in the apps to people in those locations. Now, in multiple briefings, FBI leaders told lawmakers that the 20-year-old assassin's his primary cell phone has become an important focal point of the probe, including 14,000 images that were found on it. Of what? According to multiple people. The FBI has not given us an update since J14. Now, the phone included an arrest photo and other information of Ethan Crumbly. Remember that? That was the terrible school shooting where both parents even got convicted because they were just like, yeah, go shoot him. Yeah, whatever. Who was convicted in the deadly shooting. This is from one source who's speaking on condition of anonymity. Now, the phone also included stock images, firearms and guns, other articles related to U.S. government figures. Screenshot of online live coverage of the rally was there 10 minutes before he began shooting. He took a screenshot of the rally. One of the most tantalizing pieces of evidence from the phone, according to the sources, was 3 foreign encrypted platforms used by Crooks that were apparently based in Germany, New Zealand, and Belgium. So the apps are not domestic apps. The encryption on the apps poses a significant challenge. The FBI's closed-door briefings also provided a far more detailed timeline about the events than Cheatle ever offered, including that the Secret Service first conducted a site survey at the Butler event on July 8th. That included the AGR building. The survey was 5 days before the event and resulted in a security plan that relied on 3 concentric rings of security around the podium. Crooks visited Butler Farms twice before the shooting, once on J 7th and again at 10:30 on the morning. He returned. He's like, oh, this is easy. There is no security here. Goes, gets his gun, bought some ammo. I can shoot him here. No problem. The FBI also, he's like, there's nobody here. The FBI also, or he says, oh, yeah, perfect. They're opening the window for me. The FBI also told lawmakers that the Secret Service, he doesn't even have to know that, right? In order for the Secret Service to be complicit. He doesn't have to know that there's a window opened. There just needs to be a window opened. The FBI also told lawmakers the Secret Service was first notified at 5:51 on J13, early, about a suspicious person at the speaking venue. Information was relayed 1 minute later to the Secret Service team and to agents on the ground. That means Secret Service had at least 9 minutes warning before Trump even came out and began speaking, and 20 minutes before Crooks began shooting. Those numbers are just devastating. That is like, come on, dude. 9 minutes? 1 minute before the first shots were fired, the Secret Service sniper was alerted. Oh no! Was alerted that there was a local police incident at the 3 p.m. position where Trump was speaking. Must have been the guy who fell off the roof. One of the Trump's detail agents began inquiring what was going on just before the first shot was fired. FBI said evidence that its agents recovered from Crooks's body or nearby after a countersniper killed him included the AR-15 rifle, a remote transmitter, a receipt from Home Depot, his primary cell phone. The Bureau told lawmakers that evidence seized from his vehicle in the parking lot at Butler included 2 explosive devices that were set to function remotely. There was a drone in there, more advanced than the Secret Service, a tactical vest with plates in the front and back, 4 magazines full of the same ammo that was used in the shooting. There was also evidence seized from his residence was 14 additional weapons, 1 explosive device, a secondary cell phone, a laptop and a hard drive, and 3 USB devices. Agents said the most startling find thus far has been the complete absence of evidence revealing any political or ideological motive for the shooting. What could it be? I know a lot of people say he was a Trump fan. He's a Trump fan. Oh, so he wanted to go shoot him in the head? Is that what a lot of fans do? On his laptop, Crooks visited websites about building explosives and left a message in an online gaming platform where he said, July 13th will be my premiere. And I think that might be disputed or still in flux. But yep. What was on that phone? Who was he talking to? Why were these encrypted on non-domestic apps? Very curious. Now, we also saw that Kimberly Cheatle was very coy about any details about what happened on J13, the attack on American democracy that was allowed by the Secret Service under the Biden administration. Says Senator Ron Johnson posted this. He says, since I released my preliminary findings on Sunday, and we read through all of that in a prior segment. If you missed it, I'd encourage you to watch it. Says we've continued to investigate. He says 2 witnesses now confirm seeing 8 shell casings near Crooks's body. Cheatle knew that, but she refused to share it with the American people. So here's what Johnson wrote. He says, here's the preliminary findings continued. We already read through the full brief yesterday. Says on Sunday, July 21st, Senator Johnson released preliminary findings based on conversations and information obtained by his office following J13, the assassination attack on Trump. The senator's office has continued to speak with witnesses and is appreciative of the individuals who have come forward to share what they saw and experienced. On J22, during testimony before the House Oversight Committee, Kimberly Cheatle then refused to answer questions about the number of shell casings found near the body of the would-be assassin Crooks. Although Cheatle confirmed the FBI told her how many shell casings were on the roof, she withheld the specific numbers from lawmakers due to the FBI's ongoing investigation. Now today, July 23rd, in testimony before the House Homeland Security Committee, Christopher Paris, the commissioner of the Pennsylvania State Police, was asked how many rounds Crooks fired before he was killed. Commissioner Paris responded, I believe the number is 8. 8 casings have been recovered. And that is from the hearing. Says the testimony is consistent with eyewitness information that Senator Johnson's office has received to date. And so he updates this. Multiple law enforcement officials report 8 shell casings found near Crooks's body. At least 3 local law enforcement officials reported to Senator Johnson's office that there were 8 shell casings located near Crooks's body. So that would make those 8 shots his. 2 of these individuals saw the shell casings firsthand. The 3rd individual told Johnson's office that the FBI informed him that there were 8 shell casings found on the roof. So Johnson's releasing this material, even though it's preliminary, to ensure transparency and keep the public well informed. That's from Johnson. So remember, we didn't know who that second set of 5 shots came from. I mean, we heard it. It sounded different. We heard pop, pop, pop. First 3. We thought those were from Crooks clearly. Then we heard pop, 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 pop. Sounded differently. Then we heard a wait, pop. And that was theoretically the counter sniper taking Crooks out. That second batch of 5, where did those come from? Sounds like it came from Crooks. or somebody threw some shells up there. I don't know. Either way, 8 were found by the body. And it sounds like that's pretty well documented. 3 people at least have said that. The audio, there's definitely 8 in that first batch. There's 3, then 5. So that reporting is interesting. We also had this exchange. Johnson showed up with Human Events and Jack Posobiec, shout out to that team, and had this exchange. He says, it's all preliminary. We really don't know a lot about this, but we have to tell you what we're finding. Here's Ron Johnson.
My investigators were very reluctant to issue preliminary findings because, again, it is so incomplete. It's so preliminary. But these are all things that we were told by local law enforcement. And I think that's the key. We reached out immediately to local and federal law enforcement, and people started talking to us. And so we memorialize all these things while it's fresh. And when I saw how much the federal officials were just not being transparent. And of course, you had in our Senate briefing on Wednesday, both the FBI and the Secret Service director saying, boy, we don't want these conspiracy theories to take hold. Well, if you don't want that to happen, tell the American people what you know.
Exactly.
I think
not
people
complicated.
realize it's incomplete. It's very early in the process. They'll cut you some slack on that. So I'm hoping people will cut us some slack on how incomplete and preliminary our findings were. And if information changes, I'll provide it. That's one of the reasons I'm saying now that we've had confirmation, eyewitness account that there were 8 shells. Maybe that will lay to rest the concerns that there's another shooter. Again, it's that even that is preliminary, but it's so important to be conducting the investigation now. And it's so important to have an independent investigation because unfortunately, and this is sad, we can't trust the Secret Service and the FBI. We just can't do it. Look what the FBI did with the Russian collusion hoax. They knew that was a dirty trick by the Hillary Clinton campaign. They knew that the source of the Steele dossier was something they were investigating as a Russian spy, and yet they allowed the Mueller committee, the special counsel, to be set up and put America through political turmoil that hasn't ended to this day. So unfortunately, the higher ups of the FBI is corrupt. I think the Department of Justice is corrupt. I think higher level Secret Service is probably corrupt. That isn't to say that the people working, on the ground most of them are heroes. Okay, look what happened in terms of the detail around President Trump. They put their bodies and they protected President Trump. Those folks are heroes. But at the top of these agencies, they're political, they're partisan, and we can't trust them.
And they're corrupt, man. Shout out to Ron Johnson for saying that word. DOJ's corrupt. Secret Service probably corrupt. FBI's corrupt. It's true. They're corrupt. And that's why we have such disdain for them, because they have rigged everything. And he just started with the 2016 stuff. We didn't even get into the 2020 stuff. Add the CIA to that list there too, Ron. And then we'll have a lot more to talk about. But that was a nice assessment, and we're very grateful that we have Ron Johnson out there because, man, he is good. We have Chuck Grassley's also amazingly good. The Homeland GOP House Committee is also digging into this. They said that they went out and did a visit today, and they put out this little summary video of how that went down. This is from House Homeland GOP on X.
And lawmakers from the House.
Former President Donald Trump is safe, according to the Secret Service, after an assassination attempt on the presumptive Republican nominee in Butler, Pennsylvania.
And a group of a dozen bipartisan lawmakers from the House Homeland Security Committee did something that Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheatle has yet to do, and that is to visit the rally site 9 days after the assassination attempt against former President Trump.
This is Chairman Mark Green, Chairman of the Committee on Homeland Security, and I'm here at the assassination attempt site of President Trump and where that American hero was killed. We've walked the ground to get a sort of bird's eye perspective in order to go and ask the right questions of Secret Service and the individuals who actually were supposed to, had the responsibility to guard the president and failed.
We're conducting oversight over the site of the assassination attempt, which was, as everybody knows, a catastrophic failure.
Now, that looks like that might be the area where Crooks climbed up onto the roof. Remember, there was some conversation about an AC unit. And if you just, let's see if they turn that corner here.
There was a failure.
But you just climb right up on there, right? You can just put your hop here And then over here, there was even something mounted on the wall that looked like it had some brackets. You could probably just climb right up there, honestly.
There was a failure in planning, a failure in execution, a failure in leadership. You know, for them not to have secured a building with a direct line of sight to the stage where the president was ultimately shot is unexcusable. And we want to get answers, and we want to figure out why.
They also were struck not only by how close that AGR building was
How
to
are these guys doing that? Oh my gosh, they're walking on this roof. They must be like gymnasts.
AGR building was to the stage, but also just how easy it was to get on top of that building.
I was on that the roof that the director said was really dangerous for Secret Service and other personnel to be on. I'm 70 years old.
What?
There's nothing unsafe about that roof.
No way.
Anytime you're investigating a crime, getting back to the beginning and understanding how it happened, what was the location, what were the tools, how was it done, those kinds of things are so important for us to understand what happened here and what questions we need to ask going forward.
And the Committee on Homeland Security is committed to get to the bottom of this. We're going to exercise every aspect of our accountability and oversight, both here in Butler, Pennsylvania today, and tomorrow and weeks ahead in Washington, D.C. Stay tuned.
All right, so good news from the GOP. They're digging into it. This woman is also from Florida. Her name is Laurel Lee. She is a representative, says the assassination on Trump the attempt could have been prevented. I saw firsthand, this should have been well within the capabilities of law enforcement. My colleagues and I are working to figure out how to prevent this from happening again. You can see, man, that guy even jumped. Wow, that guy's incredible.
Well, you heard a couple of the really important things that we learned yesterday. First off, we had a chance to really walk the grounds, inspect the area, see the perimeter, and a couple of things were crystal clear. One, this was not a large area. This is a place that should have been secure, that should have been well within the capability of law enforcement to make sure that it was secure. We saw the roof. All of us had the opportunity to take a look at that roof where this shooter camped out. It was not a steep slope. That is a place, you see right there, members of Congress walking up on that roof. So it's something that clearly they could have handled. The other thing is we had the water tower, other buildings. So this is, our takeaway is that this seems like something that is just a catastrophic failure to communicate, a catastrophic failure to plan and prevent what is clearly an avoidable circumstance down there at the rally. And the other thing we got to do was talk to local law enforcement and people who were there and hear their impressions of that day and what it was like for them being there. And, this has just been a horrible experience, of course, for this local community and the families who were there. So, in Congress, we want to get answers about how something like this could have possibly happened and have some accountability.
Well, you didn't have.
We'll see if there is. That is a good congresswoman there digging into this. We're happy about that. Byron Donalds, we heard yesterday, eviscerate Cheatle, said that he could go to his kids and they would tell him the truth more than she did when they got in trouble. Okay. Did your dog really eat your homework? Byron Donalds' kids, it's like, sorry, Dad, no. Didn't actually eat the homework. Cheatle's like, no, for real, though. Like, it's gone. And actually, I can't even talk about the dog because they're with the FBI. So ask them. So here is Byron Donalds and this other fella talking about the aftermath of the assassination attempt.
Yeah, that's what was so disgusting. Simple stuff like who knew what and when did they know it and what was the chain of communications. You don't have to give us the names of specific agents, but you can sit there and say, we were alerted at this time, and here's the flow of information as it got down to the president's core detail team, which is with him basically all the time. She couldn't even give us that level of information. And so at this point, talking about it, only thing that we should be talking about is the fact that the American people should be ashamed, should feel shamed by this administration and by this Secret Service director, because there is no confidence in her ability to do her job going forward.
No, not at all. And of course, she has resigned now. So Byron spoke about that before that news broke, but he's right? What is happening here is no answers. She just comes in, plays the part, resigns, and that's the end of it. Is we're going to have some committees formed and they'll just say the decisions have already been remedied, right? We've already made our decisions to solve this problem. Now, here is this guy, Representative Carlos Gimenez, 70 years old, and basically like a wizard or a warlock or something. I don't know how he's doing this, but we can only hope that we can be this vigorous when we're 70.
I'm standing in approximately the site where the shooter was. As you can see, I'm a 70-year-old man, and this roof is not a big deal. So for somebody to tell me that Secret Service agents couldn't been here, that's crazy.
Man, it doesn't even look like it's that hot out either. Like, are you sweating? Is he going to like have a stroke or a heart attack or something?
So you can see that he's got a clear line to the president.
This guy is a 70-year-old man.
It's not a hard shot.
Not even a hard shot. 70-year-old dude on the roof. He must be like magical. All right, so we now know that we've got some interesting connections between people who are at least visiting the shooter's house and his workplace. We got weird trips to D.C. We have 8 shell casings now on there. A lot of stonewalling from the federal agencies. Local cops are explaining what's happening. And fortunately, we do have some Congress people who are there checking the scene out and digging into this. And so we're going to keep covering this, my friends. Thank you so much for subscribing to our channel, wherever it is you're watching this. And thanks for inviting a friend or family member to come check out our channel when we go live. We'd love to have them join us. And we'd love to see you and them back here on the next one. But we're not done yet. We're still live, baby. And we got one final segment. And we're just going to poke around and see what happened on this hearing, because this was an interesting one. Local cops fighting back against the deep state, the Department of Homeland Security, Secret Service, all pointing their fingers at them. Why didn't you guys prevent Trump from getting shot in the head? Well, that's because it's not their job. You know, the Secret Service has that responsibility. And so the big question was, what did the Secret Service know? When did they know it? Where were these communications breaking down, if that even happened at all? Turns out it probably didn't. We're going to listen to a clip here from one exchange where the local cop explains that they had a person on their radio systems inside the same command center as the Secret Service. So if the local cop is getting warnings, there's a shooter on the roof from the cop sniper team, they could have relayed that instantly to the Secret Service, and the Secret Service could have taken action. Of course, we know they didn't. That's why we have a dead person, and Trump got shot in the face. So here is the chairman of this committee speaking about these failings, and then we're going to jump into some of the opening statements and see what took place as the hearing starts, because the local cops are now fighting back as they should. Here is an introduction to what went down today. The Homeland GOP chairman, his name is Mark Green, he showed up on Fox to explain a little bit about what's going on.
You mentioned talking to the Pennsylvania State Police. This is the colonel explaining communications between local police, and this is key, with Secret Service in that moment. Listen.
There was a text thread that was going, I've been briefed, between the ESU members. They identified, they took a photo of him. At some point when he utilized the rangefinder, the suspicion was heightened. So I know at a certain point in the command post, a member of PSP received a phone call and a text message from members of ESU, and I know from an interview that that was immediately relayed in the command post to the Secret Service.
I'm like thinking text messages, phone calls.
Immediately transmitted over to the Secret Service. And then what did they do? They just said, someone's going to shoot Trump. Anyways, what were we talking about? Yeah, okay, another person's going to shoot Trump. Okay, whatever. What you say? You love Kamala? Yeah, let's talk about her. So anyways, so here is...
Aren't they all coordinating on like walkie-talkies, immediate
device?
No,
man.
You know, exchange of information so
They're
that
playing Candy
they can
Crush.
respond in a split second? What did you learn from that?
This has been a problem in our entire country, getting various levels of law enforcement on the same networks like we are in the military. You know, when I was with special operations, these guys had satellite radios that everybody could talk to everybody. But that's not the way it is in law enforcement in the whole country, and it wasn't here. So these guys improvised. They sent a text picture 25 minutes before the president was shot, meaning about 10 to 12 minutes before he walked on stage, saying that a guy had used a rangefinder and was this suspicious person. Now, whomever at Secret Service didn't say, hey, Mr. President, let's hold up just a little bit until we find this guy, that guy needs to be fired. Whoever was in charge in that command center and didn't make that decision, that person needs to go as well.
We don't even know who that is, right? They don't want to tell us who that is. We'll see if they actually do. But obviously, we're asking ourselves, there were multiple things that happened here. We've gone through the timeline many times. I don't need to belabor this point. But it's hard to say that every single one of these failures is just incompetence. Because when you have a pattern of things that look like incompetence, you have to ask yourself, is that intentional? Are we just kind of looking the other way and allowing stuff to go bad? There's precedent for this. This happened literally on January 6th. And if you don't want to take my word for it, read the book from Stephen Sund, because he explains exactly how every single failure went down in order to enable the attack on the Capitol. Same thing can happen here. You just don't act and bad things occur. So interesting exchange here. Let's go to the hearing. This was the gentleman who was testifying today with local police. Colonel Paris is his name. We've already heard some about him. Here is his opening statement, and then we'll poke around. I want to listen to the Chairman Green. We'll listen to a little bit of Benny Thompson, and then we'll jump in from there.
I would like to take this opportunity to offer our condolences on the passing of Congresswoman Lee. I would also like to take this opportunity to express our condolences to the Comparator family and offer our continued prayers to Mr. Dutch, Mr. Copenhaver, as well as former President Trump.
Amen.
As they continue to recover. I'm humbled to be here today and testify about a tragic incident which has deeply impacted the Butler community, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and our nation. I would like to dedicate my testimony here today to the approximately 6,400 women and men, civilian and enlisted, of the PSP who work tirelessly for Pennsylvania, and it is my honor to lead them. I'd like to offer a perspective that this is very much an ongoing, complex, and dynamic investigation. And each day, as we arrive at day 10 today, I learn multiple new facts as we uncover new information as the investigation progresses. I'd like to offer a point of clarification affirmatively about PSP's role. Prior to the shooting, our role was to support the Secret Service with personnel and assets that they requested.
Exactly.
Our operation plan completed to fulfill this responsibility consisted of 32 members, and we had two main responsibilities. A motorcade operation for the transportation with the Secret Service of former President Trump, as well as manning and staffing security posts inside the secure area of the Butler County Farm Show.
Got it.
Additionally, we provided two marked cars with uniformed troopers outside of the secure perimeter to provide roving duties, as the name implies, responding to incidents that may occur as a large gathering of people were moving to the venue. After the shooting, very early after the shooting, I had a conversation with the FBI, wherein the FBI is the responsible investigating agency for the attempted assassination of a former president under federal law. The same actions that led to that also led to the homicide of one Pennsylvanian and the attempted homicide of two additional, as well as the use of force by the Secret Service counter-sniper to neutralize the threat of Mr. Crooks, thus necessitating an officer-involved shooting investigation. So the PSP currently is conducting a criminal investigation parallel to and in concert with the FBI to identify any and all parties criminally culpable under Pennsylvania state law for the homicide and for the attempted homicides. And as I said, we are additionally conducting an investigation into the U.S. Secret Service counter-sniper who neutralized the threat posed by Crooks after he opened fire. I've been recently briefed about the Department of Homeland Security's commissioned after-action report. I can tell you that the Pennsylvania State Police will fully cooperate with that investigation, and it's my hope that I can answer some questions here today without sacrificing that ongoing investigation and prove to be of value to the committee. Thank you very much.
Okay, so opening statement, they were not highly involved. They were manning a couple posts. They were doing a traffic motorcade. They had some roving vehicles, not a lot of detail there. And they said that we were just responding to what the Secret Service wanted from us. They made a request. We tried to comply. And that comports with the story we read earlier this week, in which the Washington Post reported this as well, that the Secret Service said, can you please put a patrol car over here? And they said, no, we can't actually. So does that mean that they had sniper teams in the second building? Let's continue and see where this goes from here. This is Chairman Mark Green now asking some questions of this state officer.
Colonel Paris, typically these events, do they typically have two control rooms or two sort of tactical operations areas where the Secret Service is in their sort of spot and the local law enforcement is in their sort of command center? Is that how it's typically done?
I would say from my experience and from state police operations, to include this event as planned in our operations plan, we had integrated communications by having our PSP personnel in the Secret Service command post.
In the same post, our personnel were in the same post, in the same room as the Secret Service. So that's how they were integrated. One more time.
Your person is in there where the Secret Service is in their sort of spot and the local law enforcement is in their sort of command center.
Nope.
Is that how it's typically done?
I would say from my experience and from state police operations, to include this event as planned in our operations plan, we had integrated communications by having our PSP personnel in the Secret Service command post.
So your person was in there in that command post on this event?
Yes, sir.
Do you know if the local sheriff had anybody or the deputies that were also provided, the local guys?
I would be remiss at this point to say I knew an exact listing of everyone in that command post.
The sheriff yesterday told us he did not. Would you expect him to have had somebody there?
So I would say generally, there's a lot of talk about interoperability and communications. The state police, for example, operate our own statewide radio network. So we have the ability to, if we have an incident, a long protracted incident, for example, where we need to patch other agencies in, we have the capability to do that. However, Secret Service, for example, maintains some additional encrypted communications. So the best way to integrate unified command
is physically present in the command
that
site.
would be our,
Yeah, that's how the Army does it. In the military.
I would expect our commanders to have personnel in there so that we could have radio communication as well as a redundancy in the operations plan with a telephonic backup.
Do you know if in this particular case...
So if the radios fail, they just call on cell phone or text, and that way you're just communicating face to face. No mistakes in communication. So now we have a question. Okay, who is the representative from the local cops who got notice or got the other message from the cop who fell off the building? Remember, one officer boosted another up to pull himself up, saw Crooks, point the gun at him, bailed, calls it in. Immediately, the Secret Service guy in the Secret Service command center from the local cops hears it. Oh, hey, we just got a report, dude. There's somebody with a rifle pointing guns at my cops. Secret Service now, right? Okay, who made that conversation? Who relayed that message from the local side, and who was catching the ball from the Secret Service side? We need names.
I mean, normally they sweep these sites with dogs. Was a K9 team used here for this event?
I do not know. I have not seen the Secret Service operations plan. I've asked for it. I've yet to receive it. I did double check. That was something that PSP could typically offer to the Secret Service if they requested it. And I did verify that in this event, we did not provide any dogs.
Okay. As I understand it, there wasn't one, but you'd expect one in a situation like this.
So I want to be clear that when the Secret Service interfaces with the state police for whatever protectee and level of protection they're endeavoring to provide, the Secret Service is the lead agency. So as per the earlier statement of 18,000 law enforcement agencies across the United States, it would be very difficult, I would assert, for the Secret Service to operate all across the United States and have each individual agency telling the Secret Service how the operation should be run. They're the lead agency. If
makes sense,
that was something that their protocols called for during the initial meeting when preliminary steps and agencies were brought together, that would be something that would be discussed typically.
The AGR building, did your guys on the ground there ever voice concerns to the Secret Service for not putting somebody on that building?
So I suppose the best sequence of events that I can give you is that PSP was notified by email on July 5th about this event. There was an initial planning meeting where we had commanders present on Monday, July 8th. So over Tuesday the 9th and Wednesday the 10th, those commanders that we designated, basically our orders are from the front office, my team on down. You know, we work collaboratively with the Secret Service, collaborate, give them what we can. The final walkthrough occurred on the 11th. Present at that meeting were the two commanders that were tasked with both staffing the security checkpoints on the interior of the secure perimeter, as well as the commander who was going to be in charge of the motorcade. But in addition to that, a PSP area commander was on that walkthrough, holding the rank of major.
Could you share a little bit of insight? I appreciate the timeline, but could you share a little bit, because I only have about a minute.
I apologize.
Yeah, the specific to the AGR building.
So on that walkthrough, our area commander asked specifically who was responsible for the AGR building, and we were told that Butler ESU was responsible for that area by several Secret Service agents on that walkthrough.
Okay.
Okay.
So the Secret Service is saying that's yours. That's not our responsibility. One of the most obvious things the Secret Service should protect.
All right. One last quick question.
So the Secret Service is going to blame them, right? And he's saying they told us that. Follow-up question was, what did you say back?
Real quick, I mean, I'll let you comment about it. The slope of the roof.
Okay.
Would that have prevented
Not going to ask that question.
I don't believe so, sir.
Okay, thank you. I yield. I now recognize the ranking member for his 5 minutes question.
All right, so we have Benny Thompson who's going to come out and give us some nonsense. So here is another exchange. We're going to look at some photographs here with this gentleman.
Are you aware whether any law enforcement officer or officers was or were posted in the second floor window of the AGR building?
I am aware, yes, sir.
And what is the answer?
To my knowledge, there were two posted there from Butler ESU.
Wild. So Butler had snipers in that second floor and they couldn't see the shooter on that roof crawling across the top of that roof.
Or ESU, what does the acronym ESU stand for?
Emergency Services Unit. It's a team that's comprised of multiple agencies that pool resources on a county or several county basis in order to enhance capabilities and training and be able to respond. Basically, a mutual aid agreement is my understanding of it.
Is it sort of like a SWAT team?
They are trained in SWAT tactics, to my knowledge.
So how many ESU officers were posted to that second floor window?
So I am aware that two were in the building, but again, I have not seen the Secret Service operations plan.
Do you know, well, you say in the building. Were they in a window, where a window out onto the scene?
From briefings that I have been given, I was told they were in a window, yes, sir.
Did they remain on post?
I was told that at a certain point, they began searching along with other local officers in the immediacy after Crooks had been identified as suspicious by them.
By them?
My understanding is that they identified Crooks for not matriculating. He never, to my knowledge, Crooks never made it through the secure perimeter into the venue space itself. That he was identified by those members as suspicious in part because of that. And then at some point, he produced the rangefinder, which heightened that suspicion.
So Representative Crane took a video on site yesterday. I'd like staff to put that up. It's just very short. There's a few seconds. They can do that. If I understand correctly, this is from the second story window of the AGR building. You can see that window comes out from the sash and swings out to the right. There's an aerial photo right after Crooks was killed, where Crooks' body's on the roof, and that window was open. Was it from this vantage point that those ESU officers spotted Crooks?
Right, because
I don't know that particular window, but my understanding is from a second-story window is where he was initially spotted.
Okay.
On the roof.
And are you then saying that, to your knowledge, those ESU officers left the location where they could look out the window to go in search of this person?
That is my understanding.
Sometime before the time between the time he was spotted on the ground and identified as someone suspicious until the shooting, they had left that post to go look for him. Is that what you're saying?
My understanding is yes, along with other municipal officers that responded to that area. And that's based on interviews that we've conducted. And I want to be very clear that I don't want to establish a timeline minute by minute because we don't have that yet.
Wild.
I think that's revelatory. I haven't heard that information.
Yeah,
I did hear
wild.
before that and there's a local news station. Well, there's a local news station report from July 17 that says that local law enforcement were told they couldn't be responsible for securing the AGR building during the Trump rally. And of course, you've testified a moment ago or earlier in this hearing that it was your understanding that the meeting with the Secret Service on the site was that ESU was going to handle the AGR building. Which is it? Do you know?
My understanding is what my initial answer was.
Okay.
So
You also, in
local was going
response
to handle
Mr.
the
McCall,
building.
You started to say something. You were saying that you did have integrated comms. And you were saying you were deferring to the ongoing investigation, but you have an understanding of the sequence. And then he cut you off and went on to another question. Do you know what you were about to say? Do you remember that?
Just that we had members of PSP inside of the Secret Service command post, and we were maintaining communication with our people.
Had ESU maintained position in that window overlooking the roof, isn't it true that they would have had a clean shot at Mr. Crooks as he was ascending the roof to his shooting position?
I'm not prepared to say that because I don't know the exact timeline of events.
But it's your understanding, though, that they were no longer in that room where they had been previously overlooking the building at the time he was ascending the roof. Is that correct?
Could you repeat that question?
The ESU officers were no longer in that room where they could look out the window and oversee the roof, as that video shows.
I believe they were actively searching along with additional municipal officers for Mr. Crooks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My time's expired.
Interesting that they would abandon that post to go out and try to find the guy. I'm wondering if they were out of options, right? If they were communicating to the Secret Service, do we have permission to shoot? And they said, no, go apprehend them. So they said, okay, well, we're useless here in the windows. So let's go get the guy. Can we shoot? Can we shoot? What's the deal? Do you guys have sight on him? What's going on? Sounds like bedlam. But I mean, for two credentialed people to leave their assigned post and go run around and scramble around to go try to find this guy seems absolutely strange to me. So here is Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's also here in this hearing.
Between two sides to get to the details on this, because this is poignant, very poignant. I now recognize Ms. Greene for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Colonel Paris, I'd like to carry the dialogue on about this specific timeline. I have a timeline that was given to us on the Oversight Committee yesterday when we questioned former Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheatle, as she has resigned today. But the timeline that I'd like to talk to you about is exactly what you were just discussing here. 18 minutes before President Trump took the stage, it was at 5:45 that the Butler County Emergency Services noticed Thomas Crooks on the roof, took a picture and reported it. You stated just a few minutes before in your testimony that the police or PSP were given a phone number to the Secret Service and that Butler County Emergency Services texted or sent the picture. Was that a text? Was that a digital platform? Was it an email? How did they send the picture?
So just to be clear, at that period of time, at 1845, I don't believe the testimony was
5:45 p.m.
5:45 p.m. Yes, ma'am. He was not up on the roof at that point, is my
No. Emergency Services noticed Thomas Crooks on the roof. This is a timeline that we have. Took a picture and reported it. Who did they send that picture to?
Just to be clear, they were posted in the AGR building and took a picture of him. That's what you're.
Yes. Who did they send the picture to?
So I only know from interviews what I can confirm to my knowledge and belief here today that a member of Pennsylvania State Police inside of the command post received that information telephonically and by text, related to the Secret Service, and then was given a number to follow up on. And that was based, again, heightened suspicion.
How did they relay it to Secret Service?
I believe that they verbally turned and said in the command post,
right
this
here,
is information that
I
just received. And then in follow up to that, as directed from the interview that I was briefed on, that was forwarded by text as requested by the Secret Service.
Can you give us copies of that communication and that phone number that was given to them for Secret Service?
So that's part of the ongoing investigation, and I would defer to the legality of.
Can you find that information and provide it to our committee?
we'll look to see if legally I will consult chief counsel within the state police, but it is an ongoing criminal investigation at this point.
So after it was reported, President Trump took the stage at 6:03 p.m. All of this took place. This was 18 minutes before President Trump actually took the stage at 6:03 p.m. President Trump was shot in the face at 6:11 p.m. This has all been reported. These timelines. Why do you not have a timeline?
Because it's not the timeline is going to be critical for the after action report. Obviously, we're conducting an investigation with the FBI. We have been deferential to the FBI in terms of what has been released to the media. I was present for one press briefing on the night of Saturday night, July 13th, and we've been deferential to the FBI on that. So I would refer you to the FBI. The timelines that you're quoting, I just want to be clear on the record. To my knowledge and belief, I don't have a minute-by-minute timeline. I've had multiple briefings about what these interviews have gleaned, but they're from the perspective of PSP investigating the homicide and the 2 attempted homicides.
Thank you, Colonel. During the event, at what point in the day was someone from your team first made aware that there was a potential suspicious person or possible threat?
So based on my knowledge and belief, that information relayed to the command post from Butler ESU in terms of Crooks was the first time that I'm aware of. Again, keeping in mind, I've heard estimates that there were 13,000 people there. There were multiple people identified as suspicious. Several that were identified in that area.
Yes, thank you. Now, you stated before in your questions that you haven't seen an operation plan, but didn't your team participate, and why haven't you seen the plan?
So as my answer prior on the record, I've asked for it. The state police has asked for it. We have yet to receive it. And my understanding is that our walkthrough with our commanders and our area commander was to delineate what our responsibilities were, and we endeavored to fulfill those responsibilities.
Who was the Secret Service agent in charge of the advance team?
I don't know the name of the agent.
How was PSP supposed to communicate with Secret Service on the advance team?
You mean in the planning leading up to it? So my understanding is, as is typical, we're notified. We were notified by email on July 5th. The meeting on July 8th, Monday, was to get all of those partners together to exchange information, how they could communicate with one another, and then the planning took place from there.
Could you provide our committee a copy of all those communications, Colonel Pierce?
So I will check with our legal counsel. I mean, Pennsylvania has multiple
unlikely
state statutes. They cover investigative plans.
Unlikely.
Law enforcement sensitive information.
Okay, thank you very much. And Mr. Chairman, one more thing, if I may. Trump's Secret Service protection could be removed under Benny Thompson's proposed legislation. This legislation was introduced while
Benny?
the politically weaponized government was prosecuting former President Donald Trump. This would leave him at risk. I'd also like to state for the record for this committee that over 140 inmates are murdered in prison every single year. This is a dangerous place, prison is, and of course, an 8% of violence in prison leads to murder of inmates. This legislation is reckless, and the minority ranking member needs to withdraw this legislation that would lead to the murder of President Trump.
Going after Benny Thompson. So good stuff. Now, that was the local police officer defending himself, defending his agency. I think he was a colonel. And you know who didn't show up today? The feds. None of them showed up. Here's what Fox News says about this. So local cops have to fight back against the Secret Service, blaming them for the Secret Service not doing their job, and they don't even show up.
Secret Service security failures under a microscope on Capitol Hill again today. The House Homeland Security Committee is holding the second congressional hearing looking into the attempted assassination of former President Trump. But for today's hearing, heads of the Secret Service, FBI, and Homeland Security have all declined to testify. We are listening to it. We will bring you the news from it as it breaks. Secret Service.
All right. So obviously they are not wanting to be there, but the local cops are trying to clarify the record, trying to explain what happened and how it went down. And we got a lot of questions here that have now come out from this hearing. It sounds like the Secret Service told them that they were in charge of the AGR building. And it sounds like they accepted some responsibility for that. They put some people up there in the windows. Then when they communicated, or when they saw that there were some serious threats, took pictures, communicated it over to the Secret Service. Then the Secret Service, who's supposed to catch the ball and give them some guidance on what to do, didn't do anything. Just said, here, take a number. We'll call you back when we're done hanging out with each other in the break room. So interesting things here. I think there was some new information that came out. It's going to be a long investigation. Now, we want to know who was in charge of that handoff. What were their names? And where did it go once the Secret Service had the ball? We're going to keep covering this, my friends. Thank you for joining us as we do. We'd love it if you subscribed wherever it is you're watching this. We'd also love it if you invited someone you know to come check out our channel. Send them one of these video links, and you can even tell them I made you do it. And we'll look forward to seeing you and them back here on the next one. And so, my friends, we covered 3 good segments today. Man, a lot cooking on this assassination stuff. Thank you for joining us. If you missed the first 2 segments, we also talked about the geo-targeting of Thomas Matthew Crooks as he was traveling around D.C., Boston, Philadelphia, and elsewhere. And we also talked about Kim Cheatle, her resignation, but more importantly, these other committees that now have been stood up, which are just going to be total jokes. And we'll keep covering all of that and more, my friends. But now let's hear from you. Let's see what you have to say about this, man. I see so many generous super chats here and locals, donos, and Rumble rants. You guys are the best. Thank you for supporting us and participating in this wild conversation. Look who's here. We got Beach Life in the house. What's up, Beach Life? 5 new membos coming in. And new membos, you know who you are. Beach Life, thanks for bringing them in. We had this one from Norman Lee Smith Guitar. Wow. Says the deep state is in deep doo-doo. Cover-ups are afoot. The metadata is mightier than the sniper's bullets. Accountability matters. Yeah, that oversight stuff was like genius. Really amazing analysis there. Thanks for that, Norman. We had this one also that came in from Cheryl. What's up, Cheryl? Says Cheatle didn't expect both sides to go after her yesterday. She thought it would be a partisan hearing and she could wait out the news cycle. Thanks, Democrats, for partaking. Yeah, I think the Democrats did her a favor. They wanted her gone immediately. Just get out of here. You're done. You're punished. Get it over with. And then they can just get back to their usual grind and grift. Thank you for that, Cheryl. Thanks for being a membo, too. Hey, Drek Nowitzki says, be nice to your local HVAC tech, man. We suffer for you. It's true. It's hot. It's July. HVAC people up on the roofs, up in the ceilings, connecting ductwork. It's brutal out there. Be nice to your HVAC people and give them something to drink. Patriot Rob says, personally, I think the DHS and the Secret Service and the FBI should be stripped of their investigations of this crime, and the U.S. Marshals should ultimately be investigating it. Yeah, that would be different. Are they any better? I don't know. We don't talk much about the U.S. Marshals, but thanks for that, Patriot Rob. Norman Lee Smith Guitar says, Secret Service seems more interested in protecting its secrets than serving the principles that they're hired to protect. A putrid state of affairs indeed. Accountability does matter. Look, again, I can understand mistakes. I can understand accidents. But when you lie to cover it up and you have a propensity and a big problem with lying historically, we have questions about everything. Thank you, Norman. Also sent this one in. Norman Lee Smith Guitar says, rule by committee, a lesson in futility and an exercise in redundancy. Thanks for nothing, Speaker Johnson. Yeah, another committee, 7-6. What are they going to come up with? It was an accident. Everybody's sorry about it. We're going to need more money. Also, probably Ukraine money too. Hey, what's up, Lauren? Lauren Arsh became a membo. Nice to have you aboard, Lauren. Thanks for becoming a new YouTube membo. Box Lane Production says, all right, everyone, keep an eye out for purple and green. I call it the Purple and Green Brigade. Globally in media, sports, news, adverts, a lot of them wear it. Purple and green. Are those good colors together? Doesn't sound like it. Patriot Rob says, they need to be holding people in contempt for answering. Oh, we can't answer that due to an ongoing investigation per our policy. Okay, well, your policy is not the law. We're Congress. Well, Congress has the power of the purse. They could start defunding all of these agencies, but they're big weenies. They don't do anything. Just say, okay, we're just going to defund you. And just all they have to do is defund one agency. And not even a lot, just a little bit. They go, they'd all start answering questions. Hey, what's going on? Zulu's here. 29 months as a membo. Says membership perk reform now. Zulu's leading a cause. That's going to be dangerous here. I don't know. We're going to have to ban membership reform causes in the chat. Emil, what's up? Says, I love Venn diagrams. Hey, do you like USB ports too? In buses? Who are you voting for, Emil? All right, what's up? Mr. Trump Train says, my membo runs out today. We're going to miss you, Mr. Trump Train. I'm just a poor hillbilly. Good to see you. Well, thanks for being a membo for 7 months. Looks like we're not going to get to a full baby, are we? I don't know what that means, but it's not good. Fred Pedamonte says the odds of making so egregious mistakes on one day and to have a 20-year-old sniper on that same day and time and place is astronomical. It's not possible. Right. It's like, okay, it's weird how everything aligns so that Trump gets shot in the head. It's like, okay, all right, we don't buy it. No, the magical incompetence fairy is surely incompetent, but even she doesn't strike 9 times in a row. Come on. Box Lane says purple and green clash, yet it's everywhere. Has the same ideology around it. Computer games, activists, politicians, AI, climate conferences, etc. I'm going to have to keep my eye out. Sounds like one of those things like once you see it, you can't unsee it. So we'll keep our eye out. Voice of the People, what's up? Says, hold on. 8 casings, 11 shots fired, 1 from the Secret Service. So 2 are still unaccounted for. Well, I've seen other analyses that say that there were only 9 shots. Those other 2 shots were not actually shots. One might have been a hydraulic burst and the other might have been something else, an echo or something. I don't know. Those are the theories. What's up? Rainforest, which I just got. I've been saying Rainforest, I think. It's Rainforest. Oh, I got it. Rainforest Leet. I just got that. Says the 8 shell casings doesn't add up from the video. There are 9 bangs. 1 Secret Service kill shot per Bongino. 1 local counter sniper who missed. 1 small explosion. That leaves 6 shots, not 8. Yeah. People are going to have to reanalyze that, right? So I think a lot of people were saying the first 3 came from the sniper, from the shooter. Second 5 came from someone else. 1 was a miss. 1 was a hydraulic. 1 was a kill. Going to be interesting. Kind of changes the dynamics a bit. Box Lane says, I worry about the speed we move through these events without answers. Technically, we're still at why did the servers catch fire? Yeah, it's true. I mean, honestly, there'll be another month will go by. There'll probably be another black swan. There'll probably be something else that happens and we'll all move to that. I'm not happy about this assassination cover up. This is a cover up. We're living through, I mean, almost a Kennedy or almost an RFK. I mean, it's wild. Almost. And they're covering it up right now. And just because he's not dead doesn't mean that there wasn't an attempt. Carol Myers, membo for 2 months. Thank you, Carol. First month's the hardest, gets easier from there. Rick is here, says the gray suit guy. Yeah, apparently that was an ATF agent or some other agent. Bruce Rice in the house. What's up, Bruce? 10 people got gifted membos, courtesy of Bruce Rice. And welcome aboard, new friends. Bruce, thanks for bringing them in, for being a membo and bringing in new membos. Matt Ostrander in the house became a new membo. Thank you, Matt. Welcome aboard. And new membos, make sure you grab the stream from this morning. It was a lot of fun. We talked about all the Biden Kamala madness. Mr. Magic Man's in the house. Says, my bet is that the internet figures this out before the FBI. Well, the FBI is pretty terrible. They still haven't found the pipe bombers or really told us what happened in Vegas or what happened with the gallows that were out there on the hill. You know, they have no idea what they're doing. They just make up what they want that serves them. You know, insurrection. Ooh. Here's this one from Cool Roy. Says, woke Marxism, controlled failure Dems must go. Good to see you, Cool. Thanks for that one. This one from Joe says, I think this was supposed to be a public display. Restrict access to the location to control the narrative. Use any unrest to send in the National Guard. ML, then roundups. From Joe in the house. Thanks, Joe. Hey, Kathy sent this one in. Thank you, Kathy. Sent this one. Says, a team meets up the day of you handing out radios. Maybe that happened. I don't know, Kathy, but thanks for sending that in and supporting us. Hey, betrayed by corrupt scumbags is here. Been a membo for 20 months. That's over 2 babies. Says draining of the swamp is urgently required. That's why we got to win in 2020. No doubt. 2024. This one from Chad says, carrier pigeons, smoke signals. These comms are really top rate. Yeah, they were sending Morse code with a flashlight, you know. And they said, what? Are you kidding? I think there's a sniper on the roof. And so then shots fired. All right, B-Man. Don't forget the firefighter who was assassinated. He was definitely executed. Thank you, B-Man, for remembering our friend Corey. Rest in peace. Chad says, police shoot a woman in her house armed with a pot of hot water, but not the sniper on a sloped roof. I know that's not fair, but yeah, I did see that video. And they did shoot that woman, no doubt, and that was brutal. B. Torn says, timeline of defensive stance is CYA BS by the U.S. Secret Service and the Pennsylvania State Police. What's up, B. Torn? Thanks for that. Liberum X says, the Democrats have once again shown their corruption. We had this from Joe Calcano. Says, I love a good conspiracy, but I think we are all overestimating the competence of government, and more likely complacency is the culprit. Yeah, I mean, you could say complacency. I would say intentional laxing of security with an unstated motive of causing a death. It's not actively intentional, but it's passively intentional. This one from Alex D. What's up, Alex? Alex Davy Duke says, hi, Robert. Mark Grobert said that Kim Cheatle goes back to Dick Cheney and then Liz as Secret Service protection. Yeah, we read that today. Yeah, and I think that was what Mayorkas posted. So he actually said that. Yeah, they protected the Cheneys. Oh, the same Liz Cheney who says that Trump should be dead? Didn't say that specifically, but she would like it. Grayson Mills. What's up, Grayson? Thanks for bringing in 5 new membos. Welcome aboard, courtesy of Grayson Mills. Hey, this one from Jay Water, Road Less Wolf says, breaking. Laura Loomer reports that Biden is in a terminal stage of illness. We had this one from Joe says, what if it was the same gun, but the audio adjusted to the sound? You can do that yourself if you record someone shooting. Yeah. Or even a different angle, maybe. Maybe if you're pinned against the metal and then you stand up and you're up off against the metal, maybe that causes a different sound. Rainforest, what's up? Says, hey, thanks for finally understanding my name. I know what did it take, like 2 years for us to get that? I'm slow. Thanks for accommodating. Hey, Sheila P, 10 membos coming in. Thank you, Sheila, for bringing in 10 new membos. Welcome aboard. Grab the morning stream, courtesy of Sheila. Joe says, DC Drano posted a helmet cam of the convo with the suit guy on the roof. Oh, that sounds awesome. DC Drano's a great follow on X. Don't miss that one. This one came in from Streets of Laredo. Says, on January 26, Alex Soros of the George Soros family posted a photo of a bullet hole in glass with another photo of $47 beside it. It has a caption from The Atlantic that says the great normalization. We saw that. We showed that tweet here some time ago because they're sick people. They wanted him dead. They're not even hiding it. So thanks for that one, Streets of Laredo. And this one from Elaine Smith brought in another new membo. Thank you, Elaine, for doing that one. We had some amazing locals donos. Thank you, locals, for supporting us. And some very nice ones. What's going on? What's going on over here? Spuds was here. Spuds, this is a funny one. Here says, wait a minute, on locals. Says, wouldn't all of those spent shell casings roll off of that super slopey roof? Yeah, how are they even staying up there? Because the angles, Chubby says, I hope, despite her resignation, that they still hold Cheatle accountable for her perjury yesterday. I mean, I'm not going to hold my breath, but I can still hope. Flagpole guy's in the house, says he's still here. He's not going anywhere. And hey, you missed, communists. We're going to see him through. And so suck it up, Buttercup. This is from Flagpole Guy, man. He's at flagpoleguy.com, baby. usflagpoleguy.com. And great flags out there. Look at that. Amazing. So good stuff. Hey, Seawolf says, hey, Rob, since murder or attempted murder are not federal crimes, what authorities do the feds have? They're not. There's no 18 U.S. code for assassination. This was the issue between the Dallas medical examiner and the feds when JFK was killed. The state of Texas legally had jurisdiction, but the feds just drew their guns on the medical examiner and pushed him out of the way with JFK's coffin. What is the role of the state of Pennsylvania in this investigation? From Seawolf. Well, they're doing their own independent parallel investigation. And we heard that from the colonel today. Former says, I've been a member for 3 or 4 years. It's been too long, I don't even remember, but I just renewed my membo. Thank you, Former. Woo! Man, we covered some good stuff in 3 or 4 years. It's probably been 4. I mean, We've been doing this for 4 years. Crazy. There was one thing I do remember is that I lurked prior to joining. So to balance the accounts, here's a few bucks to allow you to reconcile my account. Former. That's a really nice, generous dono, Former. And thanks for that. And, you know, I'm grateful for that. And I know we've sent some emails back and forth about membos and all the stuff. And so you didn't have to do that, but thanks for that. Very nice of you to do that. We've been through some serious business, man. 4 years. Gosh. We're just getting started. Flagpole guy shared this, says, the Democrats have incentive demanding Cheetos to resign. Out of sight, out of mind. We don't forget. Yeah, they just want to put a bow on it and forget about it. Roy says, interesting letter wording from Cheatle with the constant use of we and continue and finishing up with step down as a director. Has she left the agency or is she just continuing in the background? Great questions. Flagpole guy says, I fight for this guy and for his generation. They need us. Picture of a young man over there on Locals. This old guy says, Kimberly Cheatle failed the Pepsi challenge. She did. Because Coke is better anyways. Rub some dirt on it. Says, fellow watchers, don't let the Dems' feigned enthusiasm dishearten you. This is a great comment. Their policies are horrible. Their candidates are less popular than even Joe. They have more shameful behavior contrary to the democracy to their credit. Take a look at polling from yesterday. That still tallies 330 electoral votes for Trump of the 270 he needs to be our next president. We still need to fight. So the margin is too big to rig. Yeah, there's this weird thing going on right now. It's like, you know, when you exit a relationship, you have an ex-girlfriend or something like that. You're like, all right, phew, I'm out of that one. Thank God. But then she's on like Twitter or on X or something. I'm sorry, on Instagram or something, whatever, wherever they hang out. And they're doing on Instagram and they post all these images, all these pictures of like how happy they are, like with their new boyfriend or something. And you just like, really? Sucks for that guy. But that's what they're doing, right? They're acting like that girlfriend or like that boyfriend who's like, I'm so happy. I'm so happy without you. But they're not, right? They're not at all. They're just like broken and just contorted inside and just miserable. But they pretend like they're happy. That's what the entire Democratic Party's doing right now. And it's like they went back to their ex also. I'm like, oh gosh, this guy's terrible. But, you know, they have nowhere else to go. It's pathetic. Anyways, this is in no way a commentary on my relationship. I'm very happy with mine right now, but it is an interesting dynamic, isn't it? Hey, what's up? NY says Biden's handling of the Cheatle is a microcosm of the presidential decision that we need to make. They didn't fire Cheatle. It took a bipartisan roar. So if you're into an open border, horrible economy, and gunfire at rallies, vote for Harris. We had this one from TA Holloway. Says, sorry, Rob, I missed about 10 minutes. Oh my gosh, TA? It's not sure if it was because of the Mayorkas committee, the Napolitano hit, or bad leftover curry. Curry, man, you got to be careful. Sometimes it'll hit you in a hurry. But hey, what's up? Crash says, thank you for being here, TA Holloway. Hope you're feeling better. Crash says, and his associates. Knox is here, defense attorney in Texas, says, happy Taco Tuesday, all. I continue to be amazed at the mad skill set and the international pals possessed by this nerd kid from small town Pennsylvania. He's like a secret agent. Usually these kids only have imaginary friends. No, he's talking with people in Europe on European apps with encryptions. Very important business happening there. The Rubos say Plymouth, Massachusetts is very close to Martha's Vineyard. Guess who lives in Martha's Vineyard? Obama. Probably responsible for this. NY says the Secret Service has not had a good history if you look critically. It also has this obtuse charge of counterfeit money. Political protection needs to start with a new agency from scratch so the best can be recruited. It's a dead-end branch of federal government in its current form. Chuck Grassley just posted body cam footage. Woo! Chuck Grassley's amazing. We talked about him yesterday. After Crooks got eliminated. Ooh, that's going to be good. Probably not going to be able to play that here, but we'll watch it. Maybe on the after party. Rosie says, here's a Google map of Bethel Park to the Butler Farm Show. That's a long bike ride. 6 hours on the bike from Rosie Posey. Thank you, Rosie. Milo Phone Bill says, Biden family companies sell and produce no products, but they have 233 bank accounts and 175 LLCs. This one from Flagpole Guy says that audio signatures prove there were more than one weapon used at the scene. Echoes and frequency signatures brought to light by citizen professionals prove that Cheatle and company conspired or were directed with Crooks. Spuds says, didn't they learn from 9/11 that in certain situations it's good to have common channels, especially encrypted digital channels between agencies? Unfortunately, they did not have that tech in full force back in 2001. This old guy says Director Wray is not going to have a good day tomorrow. If he says he can't comment on ongoing investigations one time, the committee is going to jump in the middle of his nonsense. Former says, why do they keep using Assassin's 8th grade picture and not the one that is more current? Is there a reason? Hey, Kale Palouse is here. Says, Rob, I love hearing you pronounce my username. I got it about 20 years ago from a keyboarder. It's Q plus. It's a Dutch word which means Q, like a cue stick, and playing pool, and plus. Playing pool and plute. Like how do you say Pluse? Plus would be without the E. Love your show. Thanks for explaining all you do for us who don't understand all the legal stuff. Well, thank you, Q plus, our Dutch worded friend. I'm going to keep working on that. Tell me how I did on that one. Q plus, probably not that good. Q plus? I don't speak any Dutch. Good questions. Hey, and this one from Original Easy says it's predictive programming. They do that a lot. And Q plus says, is there any way anyone like Just a Citizen can hold the news anchors and the newsroom directors accountable for lying to us about President Trump? Stop watching them, essentially. I think that they're sowing the seeds of their own demise. Nobody thinks they're credible anymore. They lied to the whole country for multiple years about how Joe Biden was perfectly competent and capable. Turns out he's not. 1 second. All right, guess who's here, folks? So we're in Prescott, Arizona, and we just had the arrival of the one and only Mama G in the house. What's up, Mama G?
Hi, everyone.
So she just came in. They're going to hang out here, and we're going to go to dinner and have some fun.
Yeah, go to dinner, get out of the Arizona heat. It was like 118 degrees down there in Phoenix.
What happened?
Oh, well, I sliced off the tip of my thumb. I wasn't making meatballs, though. I was making enchiladas.
Okay, good. All right. Well, they made it, so we're going to go to dinner as soon as we wrap up here, but that was Mama G saying hello. That's my mama, and we are having a great time up here in Prescott. So, all right, so where were we? We've got a couple other comments. Kapaloose is in the house. We had some locals comments and some YouTube comments. This one came out from Emil, says Trump all day, baby. Trump all day, baby. JC's here, says YouTube is going after Trump baby guy, deleting videos from him. Trump baby guy deleting videos. That doesn't sound good. Emil is here, says Trump all day, baby. We got Mountain Goddess is in the house, says there is so much craziness going on. I just wanted to wish love and happiness to everyone. What a nice comment, Mountain Goddess. We need it. We need happiness and love in the middle of all this madness. Great to have you here. Hey, we got Ray K in the house. Good to see you, Ray K. Says, keep up the good work, Rob, from Australia. 29 months as a membo. That's over 3 babies. Oh my gosh, Ray K. We've seen some serious stuff, man. Thanks for being here all the way from Australia for 29 amazing months. Patriot Rob says, why do so many law enforcement agencies feel that they don't have to answer to Congress? Because they don't. What does Congress do? Nothing. So why would they answer? Degent says about 4 years also. Just wanted to thank you for taking us through all this. My membo dropped also. Could that be a YouTube censorship thing? sometimes what happens with the memberships is your card changes. You forget to update your card. It just cancels you or something like that. Or you don't renew it or something. It could be a censorship thing. Honestly, people were also talking about that they were not able to post certain words and that AI was coming out with some other censorship tools. Scary stuff. But DGen, thanks for being here for 4 months, my friend. I really do appreciate it. We have seen some serious business, no doubt about that. So, my friends, incredibly generous. Thank you for supporting us all with your donos, your amazing support. Let's just shout out some folks over on X real quickly who have been watching the show over there. Amazing friends who are joining us. What's going on? I see Jim is in the house. Says, was an amazing site. Gave me a little hope that they can be bipartisan when something is really wrong. James Pepper is talking about white smoke. Good to see you, James Pepper. Fred Petamonte's over there. Flash Rivers over there. And good to see you, Flash River, with some good comments. What's up, Miss Skeeter's in the house. Cat's in the house. Some great comments, my friends. And thank you for following us over on the X platform. But our plan now is to head on over to locals to wrap up for a little bit, and then we'll be back here tomorrow to get into it again. There'll be more assassination stuff. We've got Christopher Wray is coming up. And so today I want to thank all of our amazing mods and our meme smiths out there. We've always got K Bean in the house. We've got some amazing friends. Hey, Elizabeth Capone sent this one in. Elizabeth, thanks for sending this one in. A super sticker, which is a thank you super sticker. Thank you, Elizabeth. We got Donut. We got Carrie B. We got K Bean. I saw Zulu was in the chat. So thank you to Plain Hooky and all of our amazing mod friends. But my friends, we're going to leave it there. We are going to come back here in tomorrow to get into it all again. And in order to do that, we're going to need to see you right back here so that together with your help, we can shine that big, beautiful spotlight of accountability and transparency down upon our system with the hope of finding justice. Locals, hang tight. See you in 1 minute. My friends, see you back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.